thought I should get this out as quickly as possible to correct my previous video. I made the claim in that video that I didn't believe the actual affidavits existed because I was only given footnotes for typewritten or word processed documents. And then I made the plaintiff response that I hope I wasn't jumping the gun. But in reality, I don't think so, because I'm taking a look at these affidavits, which I found on archive.org. I could not find them on the Joseph Smith papers. They don't appear to be anywhere on that website. I don't know why. But when I pulled up archive, I still was only given typewritten. Anyway, it was more difficult than not to find these actual handwritten affidavits, and they're handwritten in part by Elias Smith, and some are done by James Jacks. The handwriting appears to be very similar, but the signatures on these affidavits appear to be also done by Elias Smith. In other words, the signatures appear to be done in the hand of Elias Smith and not the actual plural wives, which many Mormon documents are this way. They never have, or they very rarely have, the signature of the actual person who is making the document, or the scribe signs the person's name rather than the actual original signature. So a lot of these Mormon documents have been altered, or shall we say created, by scribes, who then just puts on the name of the person they're creating the document in the name of. And this is what these appear to be. I'm not a handwriting expert. I'm just saying all of this handwriting appears to be very similar and very consistent. So here is the affidavit of Zena Diantha Huntington. And you'll see the H is a very distinctive H done by Elias Smith. You go down here, and what do you have? You have it is a smaller, daintier signature, but the H is very much Elias Smith's H. The Zena also is very much his Z. Look at the E. He enjoys the curly Q, and so look at this D here. You're going to go up in here, and here's Dimmock, D there. Look at the D here. It's got that curly Q. Let's see. What else can we compare? But it appears that Elias Smith was signing these documents, as other scribes also sign documents in the name of the person that's supposed to have given the document. But rarely is that person there, or there's rarely an original signature. And very similar, these signatures of these plural wives do not appear to be original. So here is Presidia L.H. Kimball, and so we'll go up here, and you're going to see Presidia H. Presidia, I can't read that middle name, Huntington. But we're going to go down here, and you're going to see the H is definitely Elias's H. Here's the H. Let's see if the P, it's very curly Q, P. Let's take a, yep, similar P. So that appears to be signed by Elias Smith also, and not Presidia Kimball, Huntington Kimball. And I don't know if there's any difference, because some of the names appear out here next to the subscribed and sworn, and this one appears above it. So I don't know if these were meant to be unsigned, but he just signed them above, indicating that they weren't there to sign them themselves. Here's Ruth V. Sayers. This one does appear to be a little different. The V appears to be different. You can take a look at that R going down here. That R is identical. And the S is similar. So I'm just saying these appear to be both written out and signed by Elias Smith, and none of the plural wives actually signed these in person. Look, Emily D.P. Young, oh my goodness, his E is so distinct. Look at that E. And then the D, the P's, his P's are very distinct. Let's go up here. Emily Dow Partridge, look at that P. And then you're going to have that P here. Look at that P. Identical. Identical. He makes the signatures daintier. Like, here's his E. That is definitely his E, Elias Smith's E, and the P is his P. So I thought I should get this very quickly loaded up to make a correction in my previous video stating that there weren't any originals. Now, these aren't originals. These are documents that have been written by Elias Smith without original signatures. And like I said, this is often the case in Mormon documents. This may be the reason why these documents aren't grandstanded. In other words, they don't do a lot to identify these documents anymore. They only like to refer to the typewritten copies of these documents. And I could make the assumption, though I'm very, very apprehensive of making any more assumptions. But here's the H, okay, here's his P. That almost could be a different handwriting. Let's see. Smith. Let's go up here and look at the H. It's Miranda Nancy Johnson Hyde. There's his H. Let's go on down here. Yeah, his H is identical. Now this looks like it could be an actual person's different signature. But again, I'm not going to make assumptions. It just looks like Elias Smith both wrote and signed the documents on behalf of the women, and the women weren't even present. This would explain why Elizabeth Whitney did not remember that her daughter had married Joseph Smith in July 27, 1842, but only remembered her daughter marrying him after the 1843 revelation. And I had kind of wondered, well, if you signed an affidavit stating one date, why could you not remember it just 10 years later? And the reason why is these documents were done for the purpose of, I think, the Temple Lot case. And there are 3 plural wives that did testify under oath in the Temple Lot case. But again, the Temple Lot case, the judge did not believe the women. If you read the testimony of the women under cross-examination, they couldn't remember any of the details that a woman who had actually married Joseph Smith would remember. So, for example, one of the plural wives said that she married him in the mansion house, but she couldn't describe the mansion house. She couldn't describe where the stairs were. She couldn't describe where Joseph Smith's room was. She couldn't describe anything that a woman who was actually married to Joseph Smith in the mansion house, she could not remember any of those details. And that's one of the classic signs that somebody has been rehearsed and did not have an actual memory of it, but just gave a testimony that, yes, I married him on this date, but she could not remember any details because that hadn't been fed to her. What had been fed to her, or what she was required to say, is she was just married to him. But they were not smart enough to give her the details of the where, location, the time, the day. Was it sunny? Was it rainy? Was it snowy? I mean, she couldn't remember anything. Let's see, here's D.B. Huntington. That's Dimmock B. Huntington. Let's see where the H is. That H is, yeah, the same. D.B., that is Elias Smith's handwriting also. So I thought I'd get these out as quickly as possible. You guys can make your own decision on whether these are phony baloney, and I say they are, and I say that probably the reason why they're difficult to find. But I must thank a viewer who gave me the indication that they did exist. It took me a while to find them, but I finally found them on archive.org. So this is to correct my previous video, although I still contend that phony baloney footnotes is the method by which Mormon scholars get by in re-editing and making up a history that is right now so labyrinthine and so confused that nobody seems to be able to really sort it out. And I, who am not a professional scholar, I'm just doing my best, because I don't know why it's important to me whether Joseph Smith was a polygamist or not. He did good work in being an anti-slavery person, but I just know that my family were also anti-slavery advocates, and that's the reason why they joined the Mormon Church at the time. And I believe also that the genealogy after Nauvoo, after the assassination of Joseph Smith and Hiram Smith, I believe most of my family was killed off except for the children who were assigned to different families. And all the children ended up conglomerated in under certain families' names, and they don't belong there. So I had a family of about 8 people that showed up in Nauvoo by the time they left. All the adults were dead, but there were like 15 children. Okay, you couldn't have done that in 4 years. All right, so most of the genealogy done on my family name is bogus, because they combine children together under different family names. And this genealogy, they might have the real genealogy in the church archives, which I think they do because they do it in code, and I can show you some of the code words on the Heber C. Kimball website. I'm going to show you how they kept track of the fathers. One of the polygamous wives, they said the middle name was always the father's first name. So Brigham Young's child, if he had Elizabeth, she would be Elizabeth Brigham something, or it would be Stephen Brigham Jones. So Brigham Young's would appear in the middle name, and that's how you kept track of the bloodlines, even though they were wife swapping and they were mixing up marriage partners, and people were pretending to be married and they weren't married, such as Kingsbury and Sarah Whitney, who pretended for over 8 years to be married, but she was actually married to Heber C. Kimball. Okay, you cannot believe any of these people, and you can't not believe, especially the documents, which, according to the blood oaths of the Mormon Church, they must lie to protect their system of blood atonement and polygamy. And if they don't lie, they're supposed to kill themselves, like the temple ritual states. You're supposed to slit your own throat and disembowel yourself. And that's just the way it is in this church. It doesn't get any better as the time progresses. It seems like it is almost devolving or getting worse, such as what we see up in Idaho with all the preppers and the Lori Daybell and the Chad Daybell murdering their own children on behalf of the gathering and the saints gathering, in the 144 gatherers. I mean, incredible that even people in today's world could be so under such a hypnotic trance that they would actually do the things that they did up in Idaho. And Chad Daybell, who just appears to be this sweet, loving family man, Mormon, is right in the mix of it. They had the children buried on his property. Couldn't be more depraved than that. More depraved. That's what I leave you with. So you be your own judge on these documents. Just wanted to get this up on the website or on my channel before it went too long, because I'm getting a lot of hits on that previous channel. So I'm going to link to this as a correction, even though I've made some of the corrections on the website anyway. So signing off.